So I'm here to talk about consumer purchase trends and value perceptions in the U.S. And if you know a little bit about consumer value, that is, what are the consumers looking for when they want to buy certain products, then it differs from product to product, industry to industry. So when consumers buy cabinet, for example, cabinets or flooring, then what they value is very different from what they value when they purchase furniture products, for example. So this is a very broad topic, and when if I talk about consumer value in general, then it may not make sense. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the consumers look like today in general in the U.S., and then about one of my research areas where I looked at consumer value in the furniture industry. So my my colleague who spoke earlier, Jim, about the U.S. market, if you really look at the economic recession, the housing market has really taken a toll on a lot of these industries that you see out here, and especially if you look at the household furniture industry between 1990 and 2008, it has really fallen quite a bit. And part of it is because of the economic recession, because when people buy homes, that's when they really need furniture, right? And now they're not really buying new homes. However, there's some kind of demand from the remodeling remodeling market, but over time, it has kind of gone down. Another reason for that is also imports from China. So, there are a lot of lots of resources that are being exported to China, and then the manufacturing takes place there, and then it comes back as finished product to the US market. I don't need to show this. I mean, this is just the US housing starts which have affected the market, and it seems that it is estimated that after 2011 it's going to go up, and this is a cycle, so the demand will come back, I'm sure. So there are a few concepts that we try to measure from the market side, because really if you think about secondary wood products, this is a lot of it is commodity market, and when people or consumers, when they purchase goods, then the attributes of the product that most of them are looking for are price-based. Price is a big factor in purchase. In addition to that, you have appearance, durability, and reliability of the products that are really, really important to the consumers. So in all the research that we looked at in the past, it seems that these are some of the factors that the manufacturers or the suppliers have to take into account. And so we looked at some of the popular trends. Okay, so what is happening in the market today that the manufacturers in the US can really bank upon, or can really help, that can help promote their product. So what are these attributes? And that's what we measured. But let's first look at the consumer trends that are taking place that might affect this kind of, this industry or other secondary wood products industry. Number one is diversity. Diversity is increasing in the US. If you look at the last census that was done in 2010, it seems that of all the kindergarten through 12th grade, which is the high school, if you look at the population there of children, about 25% of that population is Hispanic, Latinos. Okay, so that market is going to change over time, and when these kids grow and when they start purchasing the product in the future, what they need and the type of decisions that they make, what is going to be important to them will change. So this particular market is also something that we need to look at. The Hispanics today are the largest minority in the US population, and so their needs need to be looked at. What is it that they are looking for? That will affect quite a bit of the market. Life expectancy is increasing, and it's not only in the US but also other parts of the country. So what is it that the older generation are looking for? They have more access to money. Okay, so maybe what they need is going to be very different from what the youngsters would need, and so that would also affect the market in some ways. Globalization, that's something that we all know. We are all here because we know that this is a global industry, and not only the wood industry, but all the other industries. The world is flat, and what happens in one part of the world affects the other, and so it's a very global industry. So we have to keep in mind when we are are thinking about any kind of market, that it's not only the domestic market that's important today, but also the international market. People from the US, for example, are now thinking about the Indian market, which is really, really growing. The middle class income has risen, and people are looking for imported items. And so those kind of markets need to be thought about when we are actually producing in the US. Going green, I think a lot of people have talked about it, since yesterday, that the green movement has really taken off. About 30% of consumers want products to have some kind of green credential. And that could be, chain of custody certification, or it could be any other kind of credentials that they are looking for. And this study was done by American Express in 2011, early 2011. The value of green building construction in the US is also rising, and it's estimated to be $60 billion by the end of 2010, and that's rising a lot. And then buying local is also something that is increasing. So if you have looked at the US market, you would actually see that people are looking at, a lot of consumers are kind of moving towards buying local, especially in the agricultural sector, the local food sector, and these people are called locavores. So they are actually trying to buy local farm products and local agricultural products, local food items. And so that's also another trend that we are looking at. Some other trends, customization is really, really increasing. So instead of mass production, now it's moving more towards customization, and that's where the money is also. If there are consumers that want a certain size furniture and a certain color, manufacturers are trying to do that, and also have a very quick delivery. So within 2 weeks and within 3 weeks is instead of having 6 weeks or having 2 months of delivery is actually also something that that people are looking at. Retail rebirth, and very, very, very important, because you probably all know that more and more consumers are moving towards big box retailers. They're places like Home Depot, places like Lowe's, or even Walmart. I mean, they are also carrying a lot of these kind of secondary products. And so these are there really needs to be some kind of creativity to lure these consumers into stores. So what are the kind of innovative or marketing strategies that the stores need to follow to lure these customers? These are some of the other areas also. Technology revolution, I really don't need to talk about it. You probably know that a lot of globalization, as well as other things, have led people to buy on the internet. There are a lot of stores that actually sell their products through the internet. Direct marketing is huge through that, and that is also causing quite a bit of a revolution within the industry. Luxury is mainstream. What I mean by that is that the middle class, especially in other parts, in developing countries, they are buying a lot of luxury products, and that is one market, or that is one niche area that needs to be catered to. And so different type of secondary wood products can actually focus on that and make it a luxury, make certain products that can cater to this luxury industry. And then on the move, people are being on the move, especially in the US. If you look, the migration is quite high. If you see, there are quite a bit of people that are moving from the north, for example, towards the southern part of the US. And part of the reason is because of the availability of resources and jobs, and the type of jobs that are available in these areas. So the type of population that manufacturers have been catering to might change over time. And then the last one is living alone, and that's also something that we have found, that the census actually has found that people, quite a bit of people are actually living alone. So the type of products that we are trying to, that manufacturers, suppliers are trying to sell to them will also be different. And so these are some of the shifts within the society that we are looking at, that I think is going to shape how our industry is going to look at. Is going to be looked at in the future, or it's and this might affect the market strategies. So when we look at what drives consumer purchase in wood products, part of it is discretionary income. If you really think about it, when do I buy or invest in furniture, for example? That's when I have more discretionary income, right? Then because these are big ticket items, and I would only be able to purchase it if if all my needs are being taken care of, and then I have enough disposable income to actually kind of go ahead and spend money on that. One of the recent research basically showed that the home improvement and home planning spending is going to be is going to be about, 62% of the people are actually planning at least one major home improvement or remodeling project in the next year, which is great for the industry. I think it's going to really revitalize some of the furniture or the other kinds of secondary markets that are out there. And the key attributes that I talked about that are really important for consumers, that the consumers value, is number one, cheap. It has to be, the price has to be right. It has to be good, meaning quality should be out there, and it has to be fast, meaning the delivery has to be on the right time, at the right time. So these three things are definitely essential, and these are the costs of doing business. Anything up and over that could be utilized as differentiation strategies among manufacturers. So these three need to be done. So what are the other kinds of strategies that manufacturers can follow, especially in the furniture industry? And so, before we go into that, let me explain a little bit about customer value or consumer value, and what this particular graph here basically, or figure here basically shows that, there are two types of perspectives when we think about value from the consumer's perspective. Value perspective one basically says that value from any kind of product offering that suppliers offer to consumers is basically at a product attribute level. So whenever we think about buying a certain item, a certain product, what we do in our minds is that we keep thinking about, okay, what is the price versus the quality versus the brand name versus everything, and whatever is, and every consumer is different, right? Every buyer is different, and maybe price is for certain, for someone, price is more important, and so that is the dominant driver as compared to other attributes. Whereas for other people, it could be quality, or for others, it could be just the brand name, right? So consumers are different in how they purchase products, and that is what customer value is if you think about perspective number one, okay? Which is, express customer needs, and these are the ones that we basically say that, okay, if somebody is coming to ask me about what do you really care about, I would say, price is the first thing, and these are the expressed customer needs. So these are very useful for incremental innovation, and that's what we would look at today. The other perspective is basically some of the latent and desired outcomes. So we have some expressed outcomes that we basically say that these are the important ones. However, the consumers in their mind, based on their experience or based on their background, they might have some latent needs that don't really come out when we actually do research. And so these are the ones that are the desired outcomes, and that's value perspective 2, which is the second part of the research that we are actually looking at right now. I don't have the results, but I do have the results for value perspective 1 in the furniture industry, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So price, product quality, appearance, and durability are the costs of doing business in furniture, and has to be done by all manufacturers. If you don't follow that, your performance standard in that, then you don't even stand a chance for selling your item, okay? Now, other than that, we looked at 4 other new, I shouldn't say new, but 4 other concepts that we thought would be important for differentiating the product that consumers may or may not value. So we looked at branding in origin, in terms of origin. If you think about the wine industry, for example, wine industry has done a wonderful job in marketing themselves based on origin, right? So we look at Australian wine versus California wine. How have they been able to do that? Why can't we do that for the wood industry? The other thing, the other example that I can give you is onions. For example, in the US, you would see Vidalia onions. That's a place, right? And so consumers actually look at that and say, okay, onions that we buy from there, or Idaho potatoes. I mean, can you even think that's a commodity product? And that has been differentiated based on the place of origin. So we wanted to look at whether the place of origin can be a differentiating factor and can be used for promoting products. And that's especially important because a lot of US manufacturers are thinking about, is it even worthwhile to put a made in US stamp? Is anybody going to buy that from us? Okay? Or is it considered to be better if we do that versus if a product or the origin actually is from somewhere else throughout the world? Local sourcing is something that we looked at also. Customization and the green aspect of wood when we sell wood furniture is something that we also looked at. So we measured these 4 concepts with the idea that these other concepts are already, that customers are already, or suppliers are already doing these 4 concepts that actually really add value to the purchase. So branding at source, I kind of talked about this. There are other, if you look at these 4 different state campaigns that have actually focused on state of origin, some have been successful, some others have not been successful, but it is not anything new to actually use place of origin for branding. Buying locally has been very, very successful for agricultural products and farm-based products. Why not for wood? And so we wanted to look at what is the relationship between people and woodlands, or if we have a heightened state of stewardship, maybe that would help help people or suppliers in promoting their products as local. So why would consumers buy local made wood household furniture? And so that was one question that we wanted to answer. The other two aspects are the green or environmental attributes of wood, as well as the standard versus customized products. We all know, we've been talking about this, that wood is, it is produced using solar energy, it's a carbon storehouse, it has low impact on the environment, it's recycled, reusable, and so on and so forth. So the green qualities are quite high, quite heavy if you look at that. And so we tried to look at, what do consumers think about in terms of green qualities of, let's say, during selling of wood furniture. And the last aspect that we looked at was, of course, standardized versus customized selling of furniture. And if you look at the market share that has been estimated of mass-produced standardized versus customized products, you would see that over time, the customized products are actually going to take over the market for the household, for different type of products as compared to the standardized version. So we collected data from consumers at home shows. These are the shows where consumers come in to purchase home-based products. And so we set up a booth, and this is my student who's been collecting data from one of the consumers who came in, so they just walked by the stall, and we invited them to come in and take our survey, and they were all entered into a drawing, we provided them an incentive. And so at the end of, at the end of the data collection period, we got about 400 consumers to kind of talk about a little bit of these 4 different concepts to try to understand what is going on in their mind if we utilize these 4 different concepts in promotion. Respondent type, we had 52% females, 48% males. We have quite a good, categorization of the different age groups, as well as income groups. I think we have a good diversity there, so I think we've covered most of the population that we wanted to capture. So we asked them about all of these different attributes. Remember value perspective 1 that I showed, different type of perspectives that consumers talk about, attributes that the consumers talk about, what is important for them and what is not. And really, if you really look at it, what does it show? Durability, appearance, price are the 3 things that they care about, right? And that's what we thought are the cost of doing business. It's very important that manufacturers do this. And all the other items that we really wanted to capture their ideas about are actually right at the end. Nobody really cares about them. Or maybe they care about it, but it's right at the end. My student was so disappointed. He came back and he was just like, okay, this research is completely, is not going anywhere. What am I going to do? I'm not going to graduate, But when we looked at whether there's anybody among the consumers that really wants this, and that's what I said, all the consumers are different, their buying behavior is different, the kind of, the attributes that one is looking for, maybe the others are not looking for that. And so what we found is, we said, okay, let's look at people who said that this is the most important thing for us, or this is at least, important. So we looked at people who said 6 or 7, gave in a 1 to 7 scale to these 4 items, and you would see 35%, almost 35% of the people said customization in furniture is very important for us. So that means there is some group that thinks that this is important for them. 36% of people said environmental friendliness in furniture is important for us. So one of the participants mentioned that earlier mentioned that it's important to measure wood against other kinds of items, or other vinyl versus plastic versus other carpet, and so on and so forth. And that is, this is a big part of using wood that can really be brought out in our promotion. Local sourcing, 27.6% of people said that's very important to them. And then 17% said geographic branding or some kind of place of origin branding will be important in their purchases if the product was sold as that. So we asked them about origin of furniture. You would see that 41% of the people said that they would prefer domestic furniture, domestically made in the US, whereas the others really are not interested. So more than 55% here are now saying that, really, I don't care where the furniture comes from as long as, it meets my needs that I want. And so that's something that we we thought was very interesting because we always thought that this was the case, but we really did not have any data to support it. But still, 41% of the people are saying that they would purchase domestically made furniture, and that is also something good that came out of here. Would you prefer household furniture labeled as made in the US? And you would see made in US, 91% said yes, I would like that. 69% said made in Southeast US. We were trying to look at regional variations here. 70, and NC, because I'm from North Carolina, we looked at, North Carolina is the furniture capital of the world, at least it was, and it still manufactures quite a bit of furniture. And so 75% of the people said made in NC is, would be good. And we also tested made in China, 7.6% of people said they would prefer made in China. And one of the things that we are finding is the fact that a lot of consumers are really not very happy with Chinese-made furniture. And I couldn't say for all the companies, but at least those that we talk to are kind of worried about the quality. And so, so I think this is a really very important finding. Perception of made in US label in wood household furniture. What does it mean to people? High quality, good finish quality. 28% are saying it's mass produced. So, so in people's mind, if we really think about customization versus mass production, I think that's very important. That's something that we really need to look at here. Authentic, 25% say it's authentic, 18% say that it's high priced, but the others don't say. So, there's some room here to actually look and make sure that we can work with price in some way. Coming to our general environmental behavior, we tried to look at what was the general environmental behavior of all the 400 consumers that we looked at, and if you really look in general, people have a pretty good environmental behavior, and some of the items that we asked in this, and I have not presented all the statements, but some of the important statements. People are worried about energy, people are worried about wasting money, and we consider these as general environmental behavior and they are worried about having low impact on the environment. So use recycled products or use products made of recycled packaging. 77% of the people did that. Made homes more energy efficient. 72% of people are doing that, and it could be just installation of windows that are better and more energy efficient. So purchase local food products. 72% of the consumers have purchased some kind of local food products, and that's something that maybe the wood industry can really jump on on the local bandwagon in the U.S. Donated money to an environmental cause. 22%. I think those are the people who are really, really green. A maximum aspect, they really, really want to preserve the environment. So if you are actually giving money for an environmental cause, I think these are the people who are the green greens. Volunteer time to an environmental cause, 14%. Driven a hybrid vehicle, of course, part of it is price also, or used biofuels, about 9% of the people. The importance of environmental attributes in selecting wood household furniture. People are really worried about toxic emissions inside the house, and I think that's something that even exporters from this country or other countries need to think about. The type of resins that are being used, or the type of toxic emissions that different furniture or cabinets or whatever they are exporting to US. They need to make sure that the toxic emissions are as low as possible. Because that's something that people are really worried about. Wood is not sourced from illegally logged forests, and that basically shows the importance of forest certification. Be it forest certification as well as chain of custody based certification for products. Obtained from wood that comes from well-managed forests and can be disposed of with low environmental impact. So these are the four most important environmental attributes in the furniture industry that consumers are looking for. Willingness to purchase or pay more for environmental friendly household furniture. About 34%, only about 1/3 of the consumers are saying that they are willing to pay anything more for green or environmental attributes for the products. So it's only 1/3 of the population, and the rest are not. But still, it's quite a bit of the population. And how much more are you willing to pay for environmental friendly furniture items? About 30% want to pay same as regular. They don't really, and this is not new. I think this has been found over and over. research on willingness to pay for environmental-based certification or environmental label, we found that most consumers, or at least one third of the consumers, do not want to pay more for environmentally based. But over time, I think with the environmental movement really catching up, I think this is going to again become like a cost of doing business. If you really want to supply to big box retailers or to other places where consumers go in to purchase products, and these, then you would have to do this as part of doing business. Have to label your products as, environmentally friendly or not. Looking at the local side of things, about 72% of people have purchased local food products in the past, or about 15% of the consumers that we asked have sought locally made household furniture. So there are a small percentage of people that are looking for locally made or locally sourced products. And so that is a good news for a lot of the manufacturers around our area, and we went and we talked to them, and they were pretty happy about that. Furniture made using local materials, about 27% of the people said that it's most important or important for us. So why would something be important to purchase locally, right? So why would you purchase a local product? We asked the consumers that, and they said it's because we feel like we are helping the community, we are helping people get jobs, and because of this recession, it's even more in the US, it's even more for the people. So about 76% of the people said we would buy local only if we know that it's really helping the community and it's really bringing people, getting people jobs. And so if this is how manufacturers or suppliers promote the products being sold local, I think, and they say that, if this is helping the community or this is helping promote jobs, then it's going to be really, really successful, I think. Oh, also, females are more likely to buy local products than men. What we found was that 70% of all the consumers that we had, 70% of the consumers who said they would be willing to buy local were women. Very interesting.
You have 1 or 2 minutes left.
Okay. Locally made furniture purchase price, 41% said they would want to pay same as regular furniture, but there are other 60% of the people who would, or 46% of the people would want to pay more than regular furniture, if they know that it's actually helping jobs, create jobs, and 2.6% said less than regular furniture. Of course, 10% of the people didn't really have any opinion. Coming lastly to customization, is it important? Yes, it was found to be important, and here are, I'm sorry about this, mostly what they wanted customization for was the material, whether it's wood versus glass versus vinyl and so on and so forth, was the first important customization, most important customization option, followed by species, what kind of species they're utilizing, and so on and so forth. But customization was something that some part of the consumers really felt was important. What we did was we segmented the consumers because the buyer behavior is different, and we found that there are 4 different, among the consumer segments that we had, there were 4 different segments of consumers that were, one segment, 21% of the population were bargain hunters. No matter what, they wanted price to be the main driver of purchase. And so 21% of the population in the consumers are actually looking for price, and price is the most important thing. However, there's other segments. There's a quality conscious buyer who do not care about convenience or service and is very price neutral, but they really care about quality, durability, and appearance. And so if there is a supplier who is catering to these consumers, then here are some of the attributes that they need to look at versus the others. They also prefer domestic-made furniture more than any other segment. And their preference for green and local products and local purchasing is neutral. The third segment is the convenience-oriented green buyers, which is about 37% of the population and of the sample. And they like customer service and ease of use, and also 70% indicated that they prefer neither domestic or imported furniture, but they show the highest environmental friendly products and behavior. So really, if environmental or green product, if that was used in promotion, then this is the group that needs to be looked at. And then the last segment is the carefree green locavores, and this is only 15% of the population, but these are the people who really wanted local furniture. These are the people who really wanted green furniture, and so this is one of our most interesting group of people. And we are actually trying to do more analysis on these people so we could look at who are these people, how can the suppliers reach them, using some of the concepts that we actually studied. So in conclusion, there are different segments. What I really want to say is that there are different segments of the population that are looking at different things, and so we really need to find out who this particular customer segment is, and then the promotion, needs to be based on that. What I want to say is that really we need to come from a mass-produced mentality to a customized mentality. We need to look at some of the popular trends that people are looking at, and we need to try to promote towards that. And so local sourcing, I think, is going to be really, really important, and how we promote our product based on that. Original furniture is going to be really, really important, I think, for a certain group of population, and then also the environmental friendliness of the furniture products is going to be very, very important. So with that, I'd like to thank all of you for listening to me, and for giving me this opportunity to be here in front of you to present some of my research.